Okay, so some members can sit. Honorable Minister, we have reserved those 2 seats for your colleagues this side. Okay, honourable members, we now have the Minister of Finance and National Planning with us, as indicated in the evening yesterday. Honourable Minister and your team, you are welcome and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. As usual, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just get a bit of this, put it on this side. Okay, so Honourable Minister, we have been sitting for the last about 80 days, where we are doing a review of the 2026 to 2028 medium-term plan and the 2026 national budget, which is the green paper, and we are happy to have you this afternoon. So we engaged with quite a number of stakeholders on the same issue, and we thought maybe this is the time we needed to engage you, considering that the PS and the team were the first ones to appear before the committee to present the sum document. So before we start, what we'll do is let's have introductions. We'll allow you to introduce your team only. Honourable members, bear with me. For you, honourable members, you'll be introducing yourselves, if at all you have any questions to ask the minister, so that we can catch up on time. So let's just get introductions and then we start. Introductions, honourable minister.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honourable ministers, members. My name is Lazarus Mwero, Assistant Director, Budget Formulation.
Stombekom Secretary, Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, honourable Chair and honourable members. Akapelwa Imwiko, Acting Director, Economic Management, Ministry of Finance, National Planning.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honourable members. My name is Monga Chongo, Principal Debt Management Officer in charge of external debt. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honourable members of the committee. My name is Beaton Sibuloa, Director, ICT under Ministry of Finance.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honourable members. My name is Musadabwe Chulu, Principal Planner in the Ministry of Finance and National Planning.
Thank you. Okay, and my name is Fred Jatila, Member of Parliament for Momba Constituency Monze, also the Chairperson for the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. Honourable Minister Kaputkov of the laws of Zambia, as always, gives you immunity when appearing before a committee of Parliament, such as this one, which we are now conferring you on. And you know the provisions quite very well. So without much ado, Honourable Minister, as indicated, we are just doing a review of the 2026-2028 medium-term budget plan and the 2026 national budget. And I don't know whether you need any time to have any waste or to do any presentation, if at all you have, or we go straight into questions.
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I'm ready for whatever direction to give.
Okay, so we'll give you a maximum of 15 minutes if you need all of it to do your presentation, and then give some time for members to ask questions if at all they have any. Honourable members, you are aware that we will have a maximum of about 45 minutes, so we need to utilize our time within that given period. Okay, over to you, Honourable Minister.
Okay, I'll take much less than the 15 that you've given me, so that members can have time to ask questions. We are here to present the green paper, which is current government thinking of how the 3-year rolling budget should look like. So the intention, of course, is to get your views, get your concerns, questions or suggestions, so that as we finalize the budget, those may be taken into account. The 2026-2028 is a bit unique in the sense that we are 1 year ahead of the conclusion of the 8th National Development Plan, but also it is 1 year before the term of this first term of this government comes to the end. So that is what it gives us. The purpose, or rather let me say that from 2021 to date, I think a lot has been achieved over the period of the plan. Issues of debt and sustainability that we spoke about, or that was there when we entered office. The external portion of it, because of debt restructuring, is no longer much of an issue. What has become the issue is the domestic debt, the few arrears which we've spoken about so many times, but also you would notice, Mr. Chairman, between 2015 and 2021, there was a very rapid increase in domestic borrowing, from something like 24 billion kwacha outstanding debt to close to 200 billion kwacha by the time we're coming to 2021. So that borrowing is now maturing, and it is part of the reason why we have pressure on the budget, because of this debt that is now maturing. But I think the key point is that we've made significant progress in addressing the domestic debt. I also want to say that the economy has been growing every single year from 2021. I would put the annual growth roughly at about 5%, and more importantly, we expect this growth to continue. I think in previous occasions we've mentioned areas where this growth was taking place. Perhaps just to emphasize that the most important area, the mining sector, which is the key sector for us, is going to be pushing this growth forward. But we've also seen growth in manufacturing, growth in tourism, and of course, when we've had no drought, we've seen growth in agriculture. This has also been a period when we've made significant inroads in social sector investments. We all know about the free education and the resultant impact of many children going back to school. We also know about the investments that have been made in hiring teachers and health workers. We also know, Mr. Chairman, the progress that has been made in safeguarding our people from hunger when there's been a catastrophe. Those have been investments in social sectors. And of course, also I can say that through the CDF, we've seen a lot of improvements in education and health infrastructure. I think that is something that we'll talk about. This therefore means that the budget in the next few years, next 3 years, the focus is about encouraging further growth to take place, because that is really the most important thing. That is the priority number one, to get the economy to continue to grow. So that means that certain interventions in support of that growth agenda. There is also an attempt to consolidate the stability, get inflation to continue to come down and stay down, exchange rate instability. I must also say that one of the achievements has been the growth in the foreign exchange reserves. I think when we were getting to office, the foreign exchange reserves were just, I think just under, I think it was about 3 billion or slightly less, sitting at more than 4.5 in reserves. This month's import cover. Need to support that. But in view of the domestic debt challenges, Mr. Chairman, we'll continue to emphasize a lot on internal revenue mobilization, tax mobilization, so that we can cope with the domestic debt situation that I discussed earlier on. So, I think then, of course, going forward, we'll continue with social sector investments in health, education, social protection, and this is in short, so that I give time to the committee. But in conclusion, I want to say that we've achieved a lot to support the budget by growing the economy, and I can only say that in the next period, 2026 to 2028, that's when we are going to see the full benefits of the type of reforms that we've been undertaking, because mining will be up, manufacturing will be up, most economic sectors will be up. I can confidently say that the economy will be at a higher level than ever before since Zambia became independent. Mr. Chairman, let me stop here.
Okay, thank you. Honorable members, before we start, Honorable Mabenga, can you switch off your... Thank you. Before we start, honorable members, as you can see, all the hands are up and we only have 30 minutes, so bear with me. Number one, please be brief and just one question at a time, so I'll be taking 3 at a time. For those who will not be able to ask, please don't crucify me. I'm just doing my job, looking at the time. So questions, honorable members. Honorable Kafwaya, Honorable Dr. Kalila and Honorable Nyirenda, in that order. Then we'll go to the next. Honorable Kafwaya.
Honorable Chair, thank you so much. I would like to appreciate the Honorable Minister for his submission. The Honorable Minister, I note that you've made comparisons of the current situation with previous situations, mainly starting from 2017 to 2021. I get very surprised, Honorable Minister, that whenever you have to make a projection or make a comparison, instead of comparing year on year, for example, the 4.5 billion reserves, you are comparing this to when you took office, which was in 2021. The relevance of your comparison, sometimes they trouble me. I feel that you need to move on and begin to compare relevant data for the benefit of not only the Zambian people, but also the people that you work with. But my question is, you spoke of just about 24 billion to 200 billion of local borrowing between 2017 and 2021. I don't know if you have considered how much you have borrowed locally yourself from 2021 to date. I'll remind you that you haven't borrowed locally in any year less than 70 billion. You have been borrowing more than 70 billion year on year. In fact, the very last year you borrowed 80 billion, but you've been netting off these figures. And when you make comparisons with the previous, you don't net off. Why do you think that we are doing well when numbers can clearly tell you that actually the performance is worse now? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Dr. Kalira.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Minister, let me applaud you for the reforms, which, as you have clearly showed, are beginning to bear fruit. And coming from the health sector, I am greatly concerned by the way we are allocating resources to this sector. Honorable Minister, if you analyze our budget and projections even for next year, you are basically continued allocating more resources to curative services. In other words, as a country, we are sitting waiting for people to get sick, so we are buying more drugs, investing more in these hospital services, when it should be the opposite. If we invest more in wellness and prevention, few people will get sick, the budget for drugs will become less, to spend as much as we are doing. So 85% of the money to the health, as we analyzed it in curative services, only less than 1%. Things like epidemic preparedness, health promotion, school health programs, all these programs around prevention of non-communicable diseases, cancers, and we need to invest more there. Are there any intentions to change this in the long term so that you will not need to spend more money in this, Honorable Minister?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Nyirenda Brenda, my name's MP for Lundazi constituency. The question that I have for you is failure to harness some of the natural resources that we have, especially gold. Honorable Minister, of late we have been subjected to burying people in some of our pits, and also almost riots erupting where our resources are being taken away without the country benefiting much out of it. Of recent, Honorable Minister, the Bank of Zambia was here. They appeared before your committee and they indicated that they are unable to purchase the gold which is being mined at the moment because of the rules of the game. The question that I have for you, what support mechanisms have you put in place, or are you going to put in place, to ensure that the operations of the gold mining in this country, the transition into successful economy and integrated into proper value chains, unlike what we are seeing where resources are just being massacred and being taken away from our nation without Zambia benefiting, and the bullion rate at Bank of Zambia has not increased from the time that the previous government left. So what is it that this gold mining is doing to our nation? I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First answer is to Honorable Member for Lunte. It is important always to compare because if you don't make a comparison, you will not understand the challenges that you face.
Just a moment, Honorable Minister, I need to make some housekeeping issues. PS, are you able to take a seat, as I saw that you are next to the Minister? Thank you. Honorable Minister, you can continue.
Yeah. So unless you, because progress is always measured from one point to the next point. So in this particular case, progress, to talk about progress means we must measure from one particular point, say 2021, to where we are. Because let's face it, this is a game of making choices about what has happened since one administration moved to another. Regarding the domestic debt, Honorable, you are mistaken when you say that there's been more reckless borrowing now. Let me give you the numbers. And these numbers are available from government sources, IMF sources. Between 2015 and 2016, domestic borrowing increased by 33.5% from 24.7 billion to 33 billion. So, increase of 33%. Between 2015 and 2017, borrowing increased by almost borrowing. 2017-2018 by 20%. 2019 by 38%. 2020 domestic borrowing increased by 62%. Just in 2021 by 48%. In 2022, domestic borrowing increased by 9%. In 2023, by 11%. All these numbers, all these numbers are on the same principle. So whereas from 2015 to 2020, you were increases of 30, 40, 20, 60. Since 2021, borrowing has been single digit. How then can you compare and say borrowing now is more excessive than before? The complete opposite. Okay? And these borrowings being treasury bonds, remember some of them are 5 years, 10 years, they are maturing now. They are maturing now. So when you look at the data for indebtedness, this is what happened. So there is no question whatsoever that control over borrowing now has improved compared to the period that I was talking about. Coming now to Honorable Dr. Kalila's question, I think that from the point of view of the Treasury, the budgetary allocations to the Ministry of Health has been increasing year after year. I think the health sector is only second to education in terms of the amount of money. Now your question is, why are we focusing on curative? I think that is, you are right, but that is a question that experts like you and the Minister of Health should now be asking themselves and say, given this resource envelope that we have, how do we allocate the resources within the sector so that you address the important issues that you are talking about? So I think the responsibility of the Treasury is to provide global resources. How that resource base is deployed, that is for professionals like you, including your ministry. On the gold, natural resources, this is an old problem. Gold is not just come to Zambia today. It has been there for years and years. That's why no one creates gold anymore. So the issue is what happened then. Clearly, as a country, some of the positive steps that we've taken now include the geological surveys that are taking place. I think we've talked about the aerial surveys that are being undertaken. That is to define the resource space more precisely, because unless you know you've got the minerals, you'll be walking on top of diamonds, or walking on tops of gold, walking on tops of copper, without knowing that you have these resources. So under this administration, the aerial surveys have begun in earnest. The issue of illegal mines, I think you are aware that the government, yes, it did take place, it is taking place, but the government has taken strong measures to stop the illegal mines. I think we are all aware about this, the security operation that was taken. Those are positive steps, but it does not stop at just preventing people from mining illegally. The next step now is to, I think I even saw an article in the newspaper today or yesterday, the Minister of Mines is now going to move in and issue license in an orderly fashion. Because in the manner in which it was happening, it was chaos, Wild West. People were moving in these areas with guns, people were almost on the verge of beginning to shoot each other. But now that has been arrested, the next step is to issue licenses in an orderly fashion, and with that, with the licensing, the Zambia Revenue Authority will be able to tell who is mining, because there's a license, who is going mining, and ZRA is being given resources to be able to check in these areas who is mining and what is the share of government out of that. So I would say that yes, this is an old problem, but the measures taken by this government clearly show that progress is being made.
Thank you. Honorable Smushi, Honorable Mabeta, Honorable Mumba, in that order.
What about us online?
Okay, I didn't see. We needed to raise your hand, sir, so I'll come back to you. I didn't see. I'm watching. Yes, thank you. Honorable Smushi, just raise your hand. I'll take note.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister, for your presentation. Minister, allow me to congratulate you, I think, on the manner in which you have managed to turn around the fortunes of this economy, especially given where you found it in 2021. However, my question is in the agricultural sector. I've seen you've done quite a lot even in this sector to try and make sure that we begin to see productivity, even the e-voucher, going e-voucher now. But there's one issue that I think has come out still prominent. We've still seen that there little resources are still being put to extension and research, even infrastructure in the agricultural sector. But if we are to sustain the gains that we have made so far, or that we are trying to make so far, I think it's important that we push more resources to these 2 or 3 sectors. So maybe just why are we not seeing more resources being taken to extension services, research, and also infrastructure in the agricultural sector? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Mabeta.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Minister, I can confirm today that the Minister of Mines, yes, is in Mfumbwe, issuing licenses to small-scale miners who shall be selling that gold to ZCMH as an aggregator that providing the washing bay, and they'll be able to get, hence formalizing this country now. Honorable Minister, as you have indicated, for sure, Honorable Mumba and myself attended the Mupani presentation just last week, where it was very clear to say that mine is going to be able to produce more copper in 2028 from its own ore. Currently, copper, yes, is increasing, they're producing more, but they are buying the concentrate, hence the net benefit is very little because they're just adding value on the concentrate they are buying. They are able to mine, but much of the concentrate is being bought. But it's in 2028 that they'll be able now to maximize the benefit, since they'll be able to produce more copper from their own mined concentrate. So looking at the commitments which are being made in the Green Paper in 2026, 2027, and 2028, we'll be paying over close to $3 billion per year towards the external debt service. And much of our resource comes from the mining. Why couldn't we align our debt service to a time when the economy will be big enough? Because my worry is on the exchange rate. To pay out $3 billion on the foreign debt service, while you are not generating enough exchange, the inflow of dollars, that may affect the exchange rate, since we'll be paying more dollars outside than what we'll be generating. Hence, it may distort our inflation figures. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mumba. Honorable members, be brief.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just to add to my colleague, Honorable Maveta, and Honorable Minister, today we've also had a very unfortunate situation in Chingola. Again, the so-called illegal miners were at it again. I think riots and graders were burnt down, so we still have a very big problem in that area. Mine will be centered around the mineral royalty. The Ministry of Mines did present after being asked, because all your licenses, especially the big mines, are all copper licenses. But within the mining sector, or as the mines are continuing to mine, there are actually other minerals, valuable minerals, more valuable than copper itself. So they were saying they have this software called Moses, which is helping them to track. Now, my concern is, and the concern of this committee, was that the mineral royalty tax seems to be, declining in terms of what you are getting. And this is because, on one hand, you can have high copper prices. Of course, production will go up. You have high copper. You're anticipating high copper prices, but you end up having low copper prices. But your production has gone up. Now, what are you going to do as a ministry to ensure that these other minerals are properly taxed? Because quite clearly the government has been losing out. So what comfort can you give this committee? Because you have clearly said mining will take the center stage in terms of growing our economy. But looking at the pilferage which is currently existing, before even the higher production continues, will tend to tax the few, and the mining sector will continue to contribute not as anticipated. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Just to agree with the Minister, the Honorable Member for Congo, yes, there is not sufficient money going into agriculture research and extension. I think the answer is similar to what I gave to the Dr. Kalila. As a sector, agriculture is obviously absorbing a lot of money. But what is required now is to ask questions on the wisdom or appropriateness of how we deploy the money. Because most of what is going to the ministry now goes for fertilizer and FRA. In other countries, they have found methods of how private farmers or farmers are able to sort out their own fertilizer issues. They are able to market their own crops, and therefore most of the money actually goes into research and extension. So that is the challenge that we have to face ourselves. How do we gradually shift resources away from where we spend them mostly now to the areas of extension? On the debt servicing and the capacity for money coming out of the mining sector, I think that given the rise in production that we see in the next few years, barring out a drop in the price, serious one, which of course is always a risk, we believe that by 2028, even though debt servicing will be higher, I'm not even sure about those numbers that you quoted, but even if that happened, given the resources that will be coming from the mining sector, we should be better off. And this is why we have always emphasized on the need to continue to allow investment in various sectors, including the mines. Because our ability to service the debt, our ability to generate more taxes, our ability to invest more in infrastructure is contingent upon the country being able to produce more and sell. It is as simple as, for example, in a farming community, one farmer produces 100 bags per year, another one produces, say, 20,000 bags per year. There can never be comparison between the two. The one who produces more will be able to do more because he's able to generate more revenues. So this is why, right from the very beginning, we said no mining in courts. Let's finish the court cases so that we negotiate, allow investment to come in. This is why we have provided ourselves with an environment equivalent to other mining countries so that we don't lose investment, and already we see the benefits. This year, as the Minister of Mines says, will be close to 1 million tons of copper, something that has never been seen in this country, even from the UNIP days. 1 million tons of copper will give us more money and business opportunities. The mineral royalty tax and cheating. Let me also say here, before I come straight to this, the mining industry today is the biggest payer of taxes, because sometimes people mislead the nation and say we are getting nothing from the mining sector. The biggest source of mining, the biggest source of revenue, tax revenue in this country is the mining sector. So they are paying taxes. However, I think we have always admitted that with the big mining companies, yes, we may have issues, but the real issues are on many smaller mining operations that are scattered all over the country, because they go in thousands. Okay, these small mining operations are in thousands, but the companies that are paying taxes are only about 8. Where are the other thousands doing? So this is where the biggest headache is. How do we draw those other people? And we are working very hard to make sure that these also get in the tax net. Regarding the minerals, where a block of what seems to be copper has got gold, also has got I believe this is part of the program that Zambia Revenue Authority is going into. I think we have to get those equipment which can make a quick assessment, so that when you see a block of what appears to be copper, it is quickly tested, whether by what do they call those things, scanners, or something that pricks and draws out some dust from the block in some other ways, and that way we'll be able to tell more accurately what the value of the mineral is, and therefore where the taxes is. This is a journey, Honorable Member. This is a journey, but I think we are getting there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Mabumba, and then Honorable Mabenga. Anyone else who's Honorable in that order? Honorable Mabumba, Honorable Minister, of members who are participating virtually, so Honorable Mabumba is participating virtually.
Chair, thank you so much for the opportunity. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister of Finance.
Good afternoon, Honorable.
Minister, for me, I just wanted to ask you around the education sector. As you may be aware, much of the budgetary allocation that goes to the Ministry of Education, maybe 80% of thereabout goes to personal money, which means therefore that there isn't a significant amount of resources that are made available for the issues of infrastructure development, investment in quality of education, as well as equity, and maybe by extension, investment in the loans and scholarship board. some stakeholders have argued that maybe probably we need a sustainable mechanism of financing the education sector, maybe by the introduction of an education levy. And I wanted your comment in terms of the ministry's position or deal with what some of the stakeholders have argued. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Mabenga.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And thank you, Honorable Minister, and the people of Mwabeza are very happy with the work you are doing through CDF. It's the first time that they have seen development in that constituency. My question is on revolving on illicit financial flows, wasteful expenditures, leakage of resources. What system are you putting in place to ensure that the money is safe, the Zambian money is safe? Because so far people are getting rich from all these vices and we are complaining that there is no money. So, Honorable Minister, what systems are you putting in place to ensure that this illicit financial flows are curtailed? Because last year, according to the FIC report, we lost 3.5 billion US dollars, which is a lot of money which could have gone into various projects. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Ndeleki.
Thank you. My question is almost like Honorable Mwenga's. You are doing a lot, Honorable Minister, to ensure that we collect revenue, but leakage is the main visible through tax evasion, tax avoidance, mostly by people who are known. These are people who have businesses where they are issuing this fake invoice. They will tell you if you are paying cash, this is the price. If you are paying, the issue of going cashless, how far are we, Honourable Minister, in ensuring that all businesses all business houses are keeping the money in the banks like it is in Ethiopia? You just go with a card, things are already automated. There is no situation of moving with cash. The businesses are compelled to allow credit card, debit card, that arrangement where monies are kept in the bank, so that we can be sure that the Bank of Zambia can have sufficient resources. Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Honourable Minister.
Yes, Honourable Member for Honourable Mabumba. If you look at the budget of the Ministry of Education, yes, most of the money goes to personnel emolument, mostly of course teachers, because this is a department of government where the biggest raw material is the teachers themselves. So it is not entirely surprising. It is not entirely surprising that the biggest budget line under the Ministry of Education is teaching. However, I think we need also to take note that infrastructure, in the last 3 years, I think we have funded quite a bit. A number of high schools which had not been completed, those I think we have ongoing work, and it's one of the priorities that the Permanent Secretary here has, provide money for infrastructure. And also, if you add on the money that is coming from CDF, because most of us in our constituencies, when we receive CDF, one of the top priorities is education. We build classrooms, we build teachers' houses, we put water at primary schools, we build, or rather we make desks. If you were to add all those, then I think you would realize that in fact the education sector is benefiting not just from its budget, but also from other sources. Ideally, of course, I agree with you. We needed to do more. Part of what we are discussing with our colleagues in the Ministry of Education is improvement in quality. We still have those challenges where teachers deployed in the rural areas are not staying. So those are issues to be dealt with. On the illicit financial flows, very quickly, you remember this House last year, we put in place a mechanism which says for you to transmit money abroad, receive a tax clearance certificate. If not, and you attempt to send money abroad, the taxman is immediately going to ask for a share of that. That has been happening, and to the extent that some of these illicit flows was because people were not paying taxes. To the extent that is the case, obviously, I think we have dealt with that. Then there's the issue of criminal conduct. I think my colleague, the Minister of Home Affairs, also has an agenda. We've put an agenda on how to capture taxes from the illicit flows, but the security issues are those being handled by the Minister of Home Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Unfortunately, we have to end here. I had noted the hands from members and others, but 3 minutes to be in the house, so we have to end here. Honorable Minister, we want to thank you most sincerely for appearing before this committee. This is your report. We are sitting tomorrow to
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for us.